Good afternoon, students. Again, we are going to continue the module 4 with chapter 3. This chapter 3 is artificial neural networks. So, we are going to learn here what is artificial uh, neural network. So, artificial neural network, it is a network which is built on the basis of the uh, model of our mind, our brain. How our mind or brain works in our day-to-day life, like that only, based on that only, this artificial neural network is developed. So how this network, our brain works, actually anything happens in our body, so our corresponding six senses like skin, eyes, nose, all these things, it sends and it takes the signal, it generates the signal, and that it will send to the brain, and brain will process the signal, and corresponding action will be taken place, and again corresponding action it will send to take care of the skin or our senses. So this is how the our brain works. So based on that only, this artificial neural network is also developed. So it is inspired by information processing model of the mind or brain. They can be used for many kinds of pattern recognition and prediction. So what are the uses of artificial neural network is to recognize some hidden pattern and make some prediction about some events. They are also used for classification, regression, clustering, association, and optimization activities. So, artificial neural network, short form is ANN, it has a huge application, huge application. So they are used in finance, marketing, manufacturing, operations, information systems, applications, and so on. ANN are like a black box trained into solving a particular type of problem, and they can develop high predictive powers. So it is a kind of a black box trained in which some input will be given, and inside the black box some data will be processed and it will give the output. This is how it works. Design principle of an artificial neural network. So once you feed the input to the artificial neural network, and it will give you the corresponding correct or predictive output. This is how it works. So in our mind, millions of sense neurons are there, millions of neurons are there, which will take the input from our different senses of the body, and it will process those signals, those inputs, and it will give the output. So this is how the artificial neural network also works. So in artificial neural network, millions of senses will be there. They will take the input, it will process it, and it will give the output. For example, a neuron, uh, in artificial neuron, what is neuron? A neuron is the basic processing unit of the network. The neuron receives input from its preceding neurons. As I told you, in our mind, millions of neurons will be there. They will get the signal from the senses. Here also, in the artificial neural network, millions of neurons will be there. They will receive the inputs from the preceding neurons and does some non-linear weighted computation transforms the result into its output value and then passes on the output to the next neuron in the network. You can see that in the diagram. Here neurons are there. So in this neuron, it is getting the input signal like x1, x2, x3, x4, and corresponding to each signal there will be a weighted value will be there, w1, w2, w3, w4. It will process this data, compute this data, and it will give the summation, like summation is x1 w1 plus x2 w2 plus x3 w3 plus x4 w4, like that. It will give the do the summation and it will give to a function f. Now this function, it will do some computation on the input summation and it will transform into output, and that it will give you output y. See how it works. Another thing here, you can see that the a neural network is a multi-layered model. Here you can see that it is only single layered, but it is a multi-layer model. It is there. Here, this is one layer, this is another layer, this is the third layer. So there is at least one input neuron. So these are called input neuron layer, one output neuron layer, and at least one processing neuron layer. So here three layers are there: input neuron layer, processing neuron layer, or it is also called hidden layer, and another third one is output neuron layer. So ANN, I mean artificial neural networks, may have multiple layers of processing elements in sequence. There could be many neurons involved in sequence depending upon the complexity of the predictive action. So the more complex problem, more number of neurons will be involved in the ANN. Like here you can see that here X1, it is fed up to neuron 1, 1, and same data it is fed up to neuron 1, 2. X2 is fed up X2 is fed up to neuron 1, 1, and X2 is also fed up to neuron 1, 2. And corresponding to each, a weight will be there, W111, W112, W113, like that, for each X1, X2, X3, X4. And here summation will be there. This summation will be given to a function f11, and it will process the data, it will compute, and it will generate output, and that will be fed up to another hidden layer, I mean processing neuron. Similarly, in neuron 1, 2 also, it will calculate the summation of x and w of each x1, x2, x3, x4, and it will give to function f2, f12, and it will send to the neuron 2, 1. Similarly, here same thing happens. All the data will be summed and processed, and it will given to the output neuron layer. And this is how the artificial neural network it works. So thank you. We will continue in the next class, in the next video.